Okay, so you learn a new word today. You feel great about it. Maybe you even write it down in a notebook. But then the next day, someone asks you what it means, and nothing. It's just gone. Good news, this happens to all of us. I speak several languages, and for the past 2 weeks, I've been trying to remember all the ways to say sorry in Korean. I'm not complaining though, because I know exactly why this happens. And today I'll tell you why and what to do if you also struggle to remember new words. The forgetting curve. So here's the thing. It's called the forgetting curve. I'm sure you've come across it 1,000 times. But in case you haven't, here it is in short. So, if you learn something new and never come back to it, you'll forget it fast. Probably right at the start. Honestly, you will probably forget most of what you hear in this video by tonight. A few days after that, most of what's left disappears too. That's just how our memory works. Sounds a bit sad, I know, but it basically means you can't learn Russian while you're sleeping or by watching one video called the 1000 most common Russian words a single time. So let's go through what actually works. And to help us with that, meet Anna and Mia. Both of them have boyfriends whose families only speak Russian, not a word of English. Both of them started learning Russian the same week for the same reason. They want to actually talk to that family, choosing what to learn. Anna picks up a textbook and starts on page 1. Every single word she doesn't know, she stops and writes it down, no matter what it is. One day it's, "What is your name?" The next day it's a long list of countries, nationalities, and languages. Just because that's what happened to be on that page. She treats every word as equally important. 3 weeks in, her list has 200 words on it, but she's exhausted and she still doesn't understand a thing when she and her boyfriend video call his family. Mia also picks up a beginner's textbook and starts on page 1. But first, she skims through all the vocabulary and thinks about what she will actually be able to talk about once she learns it. And she realizes that she doesn't really need to introduce herself or explain where she's from. So instead, she opens the chapter about daily routines. That's much more useful because almost every conversation starts with a quick story about who did what last week. Now, if you don't have a specific situation like that and you're just learning language for yourself as a hobby, that doesn't stop you from focusing on the most common words people actually use. Roughly speaking, 2,000 to 3,000 words cover about 80% of what people say to each other. For anything rare or specific, you don't need to stop and memorize it. Just try to guess it from context and move on. Where they see the word. Even the genuinely useful, important words Anna learns from a single sentence in her textbook, counting entirely on repetition to do the rest later. Mia sees practice differently. After she learns a new word, she tries to notice it popping up in other places. And for that, she spends a lot of time reading. For example, graded books. And yes, she reads at least 5 short stories on the same topic back to back. If she's learning about family and holidays, she will read 4 or 5 short pieces on exactly that. Or at least 5 books at her current level, because Mia noticed that the same keywords keep showing up naturally again and again without her forcing anything. And that helps a lot, both with remembering new vocabulary and actually using it later. And if you're just starting to learn Russian and thinking, okay, and where do I even find that many texts? I actually have 2 graded reader collections for exactly that. It is called Prosta Истории, and they are built for A1 and A2 level readers. And the stories are designed so that same useful words come back across different situations, story after story. How they review. Of course, reading alone isn't enough. So, how do the 2 of them actually study and review new words? They both know flashcards really help with review and memorization. By the way, I have a video on how to make really good flashcards in Anki. I will link it somewhere above. Anna's version of reviewing is reading her list top to bottom, word translation, word translation. She reads it, nods, and moves to the next word. But honestly, it barely touches her memory because she's not really doing any work. She's just looking at the answers. Mia, on the other hand, always tries to recall each word from memory first before checking if she's right. She says the words out loud too. Some of it feels uncomfortable. She blanks on a few words every single time. But that small struggle trying to remember something and then getting it right builds a connection that passive reading never does. And that's not all Mia does. She always leaves room in her language routine for writing and speaking in a way that actually forces her to use the exact words she's currently learning. She doesn't wait for a moment when she might get to use new vocabulary. She creates that moment herself. And here's an important point to keep in mind. When you're working on vocabulary, focus study with flashcards, input for reading and listening, and output, actually using the words in speech and writing, should all get roughly equal time in your study routine. How they study. Now let's look at how Anna and Mia organize their routines. Anna sets aside every Sunday for a 2-hour study session. She sits down, goes through her whole list, feels accomplished, closes the notebook, and doesn't touch it again until next Sunday. It looks productive, and let's be honest, it feels productive too. But remember that forgetting curve? By Wednesday, most of what she studied on Sunday is already gone, and she has to start all over again. Mia studies differently. Instead of one long session, she builds her practice so she meets each new word several times, 15 minutes a day instead of 2 hours once a week. It feels like less work, nice, and it's actually far more effective because she's working with a forgetting curve instead of against it. And it matters that the different types of practice we've talked about stay mixed together. So you shouldn't spend a whole week only doing flashcards and then a whole week only listening to a podcast episode on that topic. You know why I have trouble remembering basic Korean words? Because out of all principles I've just mentioned in this video, I only use one flashcards. But hey, I've got no one to blame but myself. So don't make my and Anna's mistakes. And don't forget that if you want an easy way to put the read several texts on one topic idea into practice, check out my Prosta Истории books for A1 and A2 levels You will find the link in the description. Let me know how you usually learn new words. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Пока!